Part 5, we're going to be looking at different hole types. So you'll begin with this little block 2 by 2 by 6 inches long, and then we're going to use the hole tool to cut these little points in here individually. So I'll show you a couple ways to do that. So I'm going to go over to Inventor and start my new IPT, and then I'm going to create a sketch. So I'm going to do my rectangle. So 2 tab 6. So there's my 2 by 6 rectangle. Finish sketch. Go to extrude. You're going to extrude height of 2 inches here, and you're going to hit OK. So there's the block. Then we're ready to cut some holes into this. So the first hole is a countersink. So it's a 0.25 through hole, 82-degree countersink up to diameter 0.5. So we don't need a sketch for this. We can actually go right to the hole tool. So I'm going to click on the face, and now it needs to know where it's referenced. So if I click off of this edge, I can type in that 1.2, and then I can type in this direction that it's 1 inch. If you hit enter right now, it's going to close you out of the tool, and it's just going to put this default hole in. So I want to go to a countersunk hole. 82 is already in here. If it's at 60, you can change that. My top size is 0.5. My through hole is 0.25, and this is a through hole all the way through. So we're going to set this to through all for termination, and that's all we need in there. We got 0.25 bound in. Let's see if we can update that. There we go. And now we have a countersunk hole down through the top. Looking at our next hole, we have a counter bore. So 0.25 through hole, 0.5 counter bore. Counter bore goes in 1/4 inch. So back to Inventor, I will go back to the hole tool and click roughly where it belongs. Off of this edge, it should be 1 inch, and they're all 1.2 apart. So this would be 2.4. Gets me to the next hole type. Now I just clicked enter right there, and it automatically put the last hole in. If you look at my browser, I have hole 1 and 2. I'm going to right click hole 2, and I'm going to edit that. So I'm going to go to edit feature, and now I'm going to change this over to a counter bore. So counter bore, 0.25 through hole, already held the 0.25 in the 0.5 depth. I'm going to hit OK on that. Now I have my counter bore done. Looking at the next hole that we have to do, the next one is just drilled to depth. So 0.5, 1 inch deep. So we'll go over here, and I'm going to go to hole, select roughly where it goes, select the edge. This is 1 inch away. Again, if I'm working from down here, this would be 3.6 because it's 1.2 between each one. This is a simple hole, and this one is a to depth. We're going to get rid of the seat that's on there. Now this 60 degree, I had this set up for a 3D print. You're going to use 118 degrees. That's a typical size. We are going down 1 inch, and our diameter is 0.5. Alright, so we have that hole in there. And let's look at our last type. Our last type is a threaded hole. It's a 1/2 inch diameter with 13 threads per inch. That's what the TPI stands for. If you notice, there is a hole through, and then there's a center line or a hidden line hole around that. That's where the threading actually goes into. And you'll see that as well out here on the edge. So I'm going to go over to Inventor, and I'm going to go to the hole tool, select that center point, 1 inch away from this edge, 1.2 away from this edge, and this one I'm going to select is a tapped hole. Now notice right here that this is going to be a through all hole. I do want the threads to go all the way down, so I'm going to have to put in 2 inches here. It already has 1/2 inch in there, but you would have to select the diameter first, and then how many threads per inch it is. The 2B is a classification, so the tighter the thread would be a 3. If it's a very loose thread, it would be a 1. And a B is an internal, A is an external thread. So I'm going to hit OK on that. If you look in there, it kind of puts a little picture of a thread in there. We're going to save this as whole, and then we're going to go over to our IDW, our drawing file. We'll double click on hole. We'll go to place views, grab a base view. So I want my base view. Let's take a look at what we want to be the top. So that looks like the top. So this is going to be my front. So I'll do a top view and my isometric view, and we'll hit OK on that. Remember, isometric, we are going to put that in color. We are going to make this quarter scale because these views are half scale. That was by default. I kind of skipped through that step there. And we'll call this part whole. So if you remember, our isometric view should be half the scale of the orthographics. These are already half scale. These are going to be quarter scale. Now you're going to use a nice dimension tool called Whole Note here. Because you use the Whole Thread tool, when you select this stuff here, so when I grab this, it is going to just generate that perfect whole note with all that information from the whole tool. Now you may have to move a couple things around. I'll still need to locate it and give it its overall size dimensions.